Hello, and welcome to Challenge Solutions. In this video, I'm going to be giving a Keynote tutorial. Keynote is basically Apple's version of PowerPoint. It's basically a way of making slideshows. You could also use Keynote in place of Google Slides or Prezi or any other virtual presentation maker. You can export from Keynote to PowerPoint, so this is what I use whenever I need to make a presentation like this for a class, or if I'm speaking at any kind of event and need a presentation to go along with that, because it is, in my opinion, the easiest way to go about making a slideshow. Keynote is accessible on the Mac as well as the iPad. I'm going to be demonstrating Keynote on my iPad today, so if you would like a tutorial on Mac, please let us know in the comments and we will do that as well. The one advantage of using the iPad though is that you can touch and drag across the screen and get some kind of idea of where your text is on the slide, and I find that very helpful. All this being said, I do always recommend having a sighted person check your presentations before you use them or turn them in. You can use Keynote and you can do that completely independently, but in the end, there is just no way for you to know exactly what's on your screen, and there's no way to know if everything you have is perfect or completely aesthetically pleasing, so you should always just have someone check over your work to be sure everything looks okay when you finish. But anyway, this whole process is accessible, so let's go ahead and get to a screen cap of my iPad. Okay, so this is the screen of my iPad that should be on the screen now. I'm going to start by just navigating to the Keynote app and double tapping on it.
Keynote. Keynote. Show sidebar button.
So the first thing you should find when you open the Keynote app is a Show Sidebar button. That sidebar is just so that you can access keynotes that are saved in different places in your file hierarchy. So we aren't going to look at that today, but if you do need to access a keynote, say in your Documents folder or on the desktop of your Mac and you had that synced, that's what you would hit for that, and then you would navigate to it. We're going to keep on moving on. So I'm going to swipe right.
Add button.
And here is our Add button. This is how we would make a new presentation if we wanted to do that. We are going to do that in this video, but I'm going to keep swiping just to let you see what's down below this. So I'll swipe right again.
Icons button.
This button is just telling me how I have the information on my screen formatted. So right now it's formatted as icons. This is all that I really use, but you can change it to list or whatever view you prefer by double tapping this button. I'll swipe right again.
Remote button.
This button allows you to use your iPad as a remote if you're presenting a Keynote presentation on another device. We aren't going to look at that today. I've actually never had to use it in a classroom setting in this kind of way, but I'm assuming that would work. I'll swipe right again.
Select button.
This is going to allow you to select multiple files if you needed to move them or delete them, because remember that we are actually going to be looking at files right now. So I'll swipe right again and let you see that.
Keynote Recents heading.
So this heading is the section of files that we are in right now. These are keynotes that I have recently accessed on my device. Now, if you had navigated to a different place in your file hierarchy with that sidebar, you would have a different heading here and it would tell you where you were. So you can use that select button to select files in any of those places and perform actions to multiple files at one time. If I swipe right again, we'll have a search bar.
Search field.
And if we swipe right again, we'll have a place where we can dictate into this text field.
Dictate button.
And then if we were to swipe right again from here, we would end up scrolling through our most recently accessed keynotes. I'm not going to swipe through all my keynotes in this video, but that's what would be below this. And of course, you can open any of these keynotes by double tapping, and if you triple tap, that brings up a menu with other actions related to the specific file that you're on. But today, I'm mainly going to focus on creating a new presentation. So I'm going to four-finger tap to jump to the top of the screen, and then I'll swipe back to that Add button.
Show sidebar button.
Swiping right.
Add button.
And we're going to double tap this.
Alert, create a presentation.
So here we're going to be prompted on how we want to start our presentation. We have two options here. I'll swipe.
Choose a theme button.
Choose a theme is option number 1.
Start an outline button.
Start an outline is option number 2.
Cancel button.
And we have a cancel button in case you click this button by mistake. Now, for me, I like to always start by choosing a theme, and I'm going to show you why. So we're going to swipe up to choose a theme, and then we're going to double tap that.
Start an outline button.
And I'll swipe left again,
Choose a theme button.
and double tap.
Cancel button.
So now we are in a large table which has multiple themes that you can choose from. Themes are going to dictate what your slideshow looks like, what the colors in the slideshow are, and what the font looks like. Sighted people are able to change this information really easily, but as a blind student, I prefer to use the preset fonts and sizes and text boxes in these themes to create a slideshow that I know is going to be at least somewhat aesthetically pleasing. So I'm going to swipe through these themes and I will let you hear the descriptions that we get. I'll swipe right,
More button.
and I'll just continue swiping.
Choose a theme heading. Recents button. Basic button. Minimal button. Bold button. Editorial button. Portfolio button. Craft button. Textured button. Recents heading.
So all of those buttons that I just swiped through were options for categories of themes. So if you knew that you wanted a bold theme or a craft theme, you could go there to find them. But if you aren't sure what you want, you can just keep on swiping right and you'll get some descriptions of the themes we have available. So right now we're on the recents heading, so these are themes that I've used for presentations recently. I'll go ahead and swipe right through a couple of these and let you hear.
See all button.
That's a see all button that'll give us even more options for themes under this category, but I'll swipe right again.
Harmony. Dark brown and turquoise fonts on muted turquoise and tan backgrounds. Actions available. A card with an image of a flower and text on it.
So Harmony is the name of this theme, and everything that came after that was VoiceOver's description of that theme. I'll swipe right again.
Bold color. A mix of fonts on bright, colorful backgrounds. Actions available. Two people standing next to each other with one person holding a sign.
If you hear those descriptions at the end, as in the two people standing next to each other holding a sign, that is VoiceOver recognizing the image that Apple has chosen to use to demonstrate this slideshow. So those images are not going to be in the theme when you make your slideshow. Those aren't going to be as important as a mix of fonts on bright, colorful backgrounds information. That is what's going to tell you what you're getting into with these themes. Now, the reason why I never start with an outline is because if you do that, you have to edit the theme later in the process, and when you do that, you don't get these descriptions. So if you start with a theme, this is the only time you're going to be able to choose the themes and have these descriptions. I'll swipe right again and let you hear another theme, and then we'll double tap on that one to open it.
Showcase. Bold. Black fonts on a mix of multicolor and white backgrounds. Actions available. A person wearing sunglasses and posing for a photo in front of a blue background.
So that sounds pretty nice. So we're going to double tap on that, and this is going to create our presentation using this theme.
Bold color. A mix of fonts on bright, colorful back presentations button.
Okay, so now we have opened our presentation. We've created it, we have our theme. This is the point at which I recommend you switch to outline view. And you can do that by simply swiping right
View options button.
and double tapping here,
Selected. Slide view button.
swiping right again,
Light table button.
and again,
Outline button.
and double tapping here.
Selected. Outline. Dimmed. Selected. Outline button.
Then we can just tap randomly on the screen
Dismiss pop-up.
and double tap to dismiss.
Presentations button. Actions available.
So what we're on right now is just a back button that will take us back to the original screen that we were on with all of our presentations. But if we keep swiping, we have some options. So we're going to swipe right and we're just going to go past all of these options that we have for now.
View options button. Undo. Dimmed button. Presentation 2.
This is how we would change our presentation name. We would double tap on this. I'll keep swiping right.
Play button.
This is how we would play our presentation.
Format button.
That, of course, is formatting.
Collaborate button.
Collaborate, we'll get to that later.
More button.
And more, we will also get to that later. But if we keep swiping right,
Slide 1. Text field is editing. Insertion point at start. Actions available.
we get a text field. So now that we are in outline view, what we actually get to do is just type our information that's going to go into these slides into text fields. And then Keynote does all the rest of the work for us. So for example, if I just type
LGE space space solutions.
Challenge Solutions, that's going to appear in the title slot of this slide. Now if I hit enter,
Text field is editing. Insertion point at start. Actions available.
it's actually going to take me to the next text box down. Now since this is the first slide in this presentation, I know that it's going to be a title slide. So this is where you could put your name or a subtitle. I'm going to put
RT space LE space F O space D D space blind.
Virtual Learning for the Blind, and that should appear beneath my title. Now, this is all I want on my title slide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap with 4 fingers at the bottom of the screen. You can also use Control Option Function right arrow for this, and it's going to take us to the last item on this screen. So I'm going to do that now.
Keyboard button.
And then if you swipe left from here, you'll hear,
Insert slide button.
and we can double tap on that to make a new slide.
Slide 2. Text field is editing. Insertion point at start. Actions available.
Now, new slides automatically form in the title and bullets format, which is good because that is the only one that I recommend you use unless you have sighted help. This format gives you a text box for a title and then a bulleted text box where you'll put your information. I'm going to show you how to take those bullets away if you ever need to, but this is all I use. Feel free to get more creative yourself, but if you want a sure way of getting just a nice clean, kind of bland, but definitely usable slideshow pumped out, the title and bullet slide is the way that I think you should go. So we're in our first text box on this slide, which means this is going to be our title. So our title is going to be Technology.
E-A-N-O-L-O space technology.
And I haven't really thought this through, so we're just kind of rolling with it. I'm going to hit enter, and when I hit enter, that's going to take us down into the bullets text box. So I'll do that now.
Text field is editing. Insertion point at start. Actions available.
And at Challenge Solutions, we work with Apple,
Cap P-P-L-E. Text field is editing.
Android,
D-R-O-I-D. Text present
Windows,
space Windows text field. R-A-I
Braille
space
note takers,
T-A-K-E space note takers misspelled. E-E-K-T-E-T-O cap N. Presentations. T-E-T-A-K-E-R space note takers.
and we're going to call that good. All of this should be in bullets beneath our slide. So I'm going to go to the bottom again by tapping with 4 fingers at the bottom of the screen, and we're going to make another slide.
Keyboard button.
So I'll swipe left from here.
Insert slide button. Slide 3. Text field is editing. Insertion point at start. Actions available.
In this slide, say I just want to put a small description. So we're in the first text box again. I'll just label that description.
E-S-C-O-I-P-T space description.
And I'll hit enter to go down into the second text box on this slide.
Text field is editing. Insertion point at start. Actions available.
Now, say for this slide, I want to write in complete sentences. So I'll go ahead and start doing that. Okay, so I cut my typing out, but I have 2 sentences here. So these we are not going to want to be bulleted when we finish the final slideshow. But we're not going to change that right now. So say this is the end of our slideshow. This is all the information we wanted. At this point, I recommend switching back to the standard view. So to do that, we're going to tap with 4 fingers near the top of the screen, or use Control Option Function left arrow to go to the top.
Presentations button.
Swiping right,
View options button.
double tap,
Slide view button.
and we're going to double tap this where it says Slide View.
Selected. Body. Challenge Solutions is a group of blind and visually impaired students in career training with the Arkansas Division of Services for the Blind. They make blog posts, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Indentation level 0.
So we'll need to tap somewhere on the screen,
Dismiss pop-up.
and then double tap to
Canvas. Selected. Body. Text box. Challenge Solutions is a group of blind and visually impaired students in career training with the Arkansas Division of Services for the Blind. They make blog posts, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Text field. Actions available.
And that will dismiss that pop-up window that we had. So now this is our standard view, and basically on the screen right now is a large picture of your slide for anyone with sight. Now for us, what we're going to see are text boxes. So again, we'll have our title text box, and then we'll have our body text box. You should note that some themes also give you a subtitle text box, and if this happens, you may have to get a sighted person to help you to be sure that you're familiar with the theme and are putting things in the correct place. But I know that in this theme, we have only a title and a body text box in our title and bullet slide, and we're already on slide 3. So since I wrote sentences here, we don't really need those to be bulleted, so I will double tap on this text box. I believe the cursor is already on it, but I'll swipe up to be sure.
Middle left shape handle, W, 1728 point H, 690 point, adjustable.
Okay, so that is how we would move the text boxes. I do not recommend ever touching those because there's really no good way as a blind person to know exactly what you're doing with the text boxes. So I'm going to swipe right again.
Selected, body, text box. Challenge Solutions is a group of blind and visually impaired students in career training with the Arkansas Division of Services for the Blind. They make blog posts.
We aren't going to listen to all that. I just tapped with 2 fingers to pause the speech. So we're going to double tap on this text box to be sure we are in it.
Insertion point at end.
And we are going to go and find the formatting menu. So I'm going to tap at the top with 4 fingers again to jump to the top.
Presentations button.
And we'll swipe until we hear format.
View options button. Undo button. Presentation 2.
Again, that's just the title. You could double tap there to edit it.
Play button. Format button.
And here is format.
Dismiss pop-up.
So I double tapped that, and now we've opened our formatting menu. There are a lot of options in here, and we are not going to cover them all today, so I'm just going to swipe through and let you hear them as we go in the process of taking away these bullets.
Text button 2 of 3.
I'll double tap this, and this is where the bullets are going to be.
Selected text 2 of 3.
There's going to be a lot of information before them, and I'll just quickly swipe through that.
Arrange button 3. Paragraph style. Body button. Font Proxima Nova button. Selected bold button. Italic button. Underline button. Strike through button. More text options button. Size 42 points. Adjustable. Text color dark grayish cyan blue 34. Selected align left. Align center button. Align right button. Align justified button. Selected vertical align top but vertical align center but vertical align bottom button. Bullets and lists bullet button.
And this is actually the button we need to double tap to take that bullet away, so I'll double tap that now.
None button. Text back button.
And we'll swipe to none. So swipe right.
Bullets and lists heading.
And again.
Edit button.
And again.
None button. Actions available.
And double tap here.
Selected none.
Now I'll go back so you can hear the rest of the formatting options. Okay, so I have cut and am now back to the bullets and list option. We will keep swiping right.
Outdent dimmed button. Indent button. Line spacing 0.80 button. Columns 1 button. Margin 4 points. Adjustable. Shrink text to fit. Switch button on. Drop cap. Switch button off. Undo dimmed button. Redo dimmed button.
And these buttons down here just correspond to our keyboard. So that is everything in the text section of the formatter. All of this is completely accessible and very easy to use, so we're not going to go through all of it here, but I will 4-finger tap at the top and show you the other 2 sections just so you know kind of where everything is. So I'll 4-finger tap.
Style button 1 of 3.
And we will look in the style section.
Selected style 1 of 3. Text button. Arrange button 3 of 3.
Those are the other 2 sections, and now I'll swipe right again.
Black 0, no stroke button heading.
So these first few options in the style section of the formatter actually change the fill behind the text in your text boxes. I do not recommend ever using these because there is really no good way. You may know what color you're turning it, but I find it very difficult to know actually what I should do, which colors I should use for these kind of things, so I always just leave it. But if you are feeling of interest, or if you have a little more sight, this is the place where you would change that. I'll keep swiping through these.
Cyan 61, no stroke. Cyan 60, no stroke. Red orange 39, no stroke. Vibrant yellow orange 77, no stroke. Pink 64, no stroke button. Fill, no fill button.
I do love all of those really nice color descriptions. The same thing will happen if you change the font color. You get some very nice descriptions, so that is super nice of Apple. I'll keep swiping right.
Border, switch button, off.
This is the border of your text box, so if you turn this on, your text will have a square or a rectangle around it.
Shadow, switch button, off.
We have shadow.
Reflection, switch button, off. Opacity, 100% adjustable. Title and caption, button. Undo, dimmed, title and caption, button.
And that is the last thing in the style section. I will go ahead and scroll through the arrange section. So I'll four-finger tap at the top of the screen to get to that.
Selected, style, button, 1 of 3.
And we'll swipe right twice.
Arrange, button, 3 of 3.
And double tap here.
Selected, arrange, 3 of 3.
I'll just go ahead and swipe through this. Most of it I do not recommend using.
Move to > front. Move element backward, dimmed. Move elements backward and move elements forward, button. Size and position. Width, 1728. Height, 690 points. X position, 96 point. Y position, 294. Constrain proportions. Switch button, off. Rotate, 0 degrees. Flip horizontally, button. Flip vertically, button. Lock, button. Undo, dimmed, button.
So, yeah, I don't recommend using any of that. You can edit it all. I know it's all accessible, but I do not even know what some of it would do visually on the slide. So I typically just kind of avoid the arrange section and stay away. Again, I'm trying to make the most foolproof, I know this is going to look at least decent kind of thing as possible. Because when it comes down to it, you probably are not going to make the most brilliant PowerPoint that's going to make everyone go, oh my gosh, I can't believe, but you can get all your information across in this way. And of course, you can always ask for help, and someone can help you really add those extra touches. But anyway, I'm going to tap the left side of the screen and dismiss this pop-up, and we're going to look at the next options.
Dismiss pop-up. Canvas, presentation, view options, presentations, button.
So we'll swipe right several times.
View options, but undo, button. Presentation 2. Play, button. Format, button.
And our next option is
Insert, button.
Insert. So this is pretty self-explanatory, but I will double tap it and let you hear all the different options that you have in here.
Tables, button, 1 of 4.
You can do tables. Those are accessible.
Charts, button, 2 of 4.
Charts are not very accessible. I have not used them or had much experience with them, so you might be able to try it and figure it out, but typically charts don't work too well with screen readers anyway, so I'll just swipe right.
Shapes, button, 3 of 4.
Have shapes. Again, those don't work too well because you have no good way of resizing them, so I typically do not use these.
Selected, media, button, 4 of 4.
And then we have media, which is selected. I will swipe through these to let you see what we have. Again, I just don't typically use them because of the sizing problems, but I'll let you hear them.
Photo or video. Camera. Record audio. Web video. Image gallery. Insert from.
Insert from is going to open your files, and you'll be able to insert something from there if you ever need that.
Drawing.
Drawing, of course, is not going to go too well for someone who is blind.
Equation.
And then equation, which I did try. I had never needed to use it before making this video, and it does seem to be reasonably accessible. I don't know when you would need to use it, but it is there if you needed it. And that is everything in the insert menu, so we will tap near the left of the screen and then double tap to dismiss that.
Dismiss pop-up. Canvas, selected, body, text box, text field, is editing, challenge.
Pause the speech, and four-finger tap at the top to jump to the top of the screen again, and we'll find the next item.
Presentations, button. View options, undo, but presentation, play, but format, button. Insert, button.
And next,
Collaborate, button.
we have collaborate. Now, I'm not going to double tap this here because a list of my recent contacts will come up, but basically this allows you to share your Keynote with any other person with an Apple device. It's really nice if you can do school projects with other people that have Apple devices or work projects, or if you just want to share your project with someone so that they can look over it on their own device and make changes from their device. This button is probably my favorite button in this app for this reason. It's going to allow you to give someone else permission to edit what you've done, so fix any of your mistakes, and if you're working on a group project, this is going to give them access. So that's a very important button. You just double tap it and you're going to get a standard Apple Share Sheet, and it's going to ask you how you would like to share your document. You could do that using messages, mail, or a variety of other social media options. You'll double tap on what you want, and then you can just choose who to send it to, and the document will be off. So that is super nice, but we're just going to keep swiping right.
More button.
And here's our More button. This one is also very important because all of the settings for your document are going to be in here. So we'll double tap on this.
More heading.
And we'll start swiping right.
Share.
So the Share button is different from the Collaborate button. The Collaborate button is going to allow the other person to make changes to this document. If you make someone a collaborator, the document is now equal parts yours and theirs. If you hit the Share button, this is only going to send someone a copy of your file. So if you wanted someone to look over it, but maybe you wanted to make the changes yourself, this would be a good way to do that. And again, this is going to bring up the Apple Share Sheet. So I'll swipe again.
Export button.
Export. This is another very, very important button because remember that I said this is basically Apple's version of PowerPoint? Well, we have to have a way for people who don't have Apple devices to see these presentations because your teacher or your boss probably wants this presentation in a Google slide, which we just don't do, or a PowerPoint might be the next best option. So if we double tap this export button, we're going to have options of what kind of file we want to make. So I'm going to double tap this now.
PDF. More back button.
And we get a back button. We will swipe right.
Export heading.
And again.
PDF.
So we can make this a PDF.
PowerPoint.
A PowerPoint, which is the golden file. That's what we want most of the time, 99% of the time. But I'll swipe through the other options anyway.
Movie. Animated GIF. Images. Keynote theme.
This Keynote theme button I also never use. Basically, what I believe it does is uses the presentation that you have and the settings that you're using to generate a new custom theme. So if you had changed the font or the background color or something like that, you would be able to make a new Keynote presentation with that same kind of theme. So I don't recommend this, but PowerPoint is what you want to do. When you double tap on that, you're also going to get a share sheet. So you could email this to someone and not even worry about saving it as a PowerPoint, or you could share it in another way, whatever way you choose, or you could save that PowerPoint to your files, and then you would have both copies for yourself. I'm not going to do this because personal information will be disclosed if I do, but any of those options work for you. You will just swipe to what you need and double tap. I will say that if you save to files, you should definitely not forget where you put your exported file. Also, it is worth pointing out that as of now, the option to share directly to Classroom, for some reason it does not actually turn the assignment in. So in the future, hopefully we'll be able to share directly to Google Classroom. It is an option now, but it does not work properly, and I am not sure why. None of my teachers, when I have tried to do it that way, have actually received the assignment. So that is worth noting. But anyway, I will close the export menu. Okay, now we are back to the export button in the More menu. So I'm going to swipe right and let you hear what comes after that.
Print.
Pretty self-explanatory. I'll keep going.
Use Keynote Live. Find.
That's going to allow you to find specific things in your Keynote.
Animate.
This is going to allow you to animate slides. I did try this. I will show it to you. I have no idea what these animations do. I'll show you what happens. I'll double tap.
Entered animation mode. Undo button.
So we have animation mode, and if we forefinger tap at the bottom of the screen,
Add slide button.
and then swipe left,
Animation chooser. Add transition button.
this is going to allow us to add an animation to our slide. I'll double tap on this,
Selected. Add transition. Back button.
and then I'll swipe right.
Animation chooser. Selected. None button.
And again,
Automatic button. Dissolve button. Magic move button. Clothesline button. Confetti button.
so the problem with this is that all these animations have names, and you kind of know what they're going to look like, but we don't really get detailed descriptions, which is kind of unfortunate. But if you want to add one,
Dissolve button.
You just double tap.
Color planes. Animation chooser. Selected. Dissolve button. Slide 3. Description.
And when you are finished, you can four-finger tap at the top of the screen.
Animate slides and objects. Heading.
And swipe right until you find done.
Play. Build order. Button. Done. Button.
It's also worth noting that if you keep swiping...
Slide 1. Challenge solutions. Level 0. Button. Actions available. Slide 2. Technology. Level 0. Button. Actions available.
You get this nice slide chooser. So you could double tap to select any of these slides and then add an animation to any of them. But I'll swipe back up to done.
Slide 1. Challenge. Done. Button.
And double tap.
Done. Exit animation mode. Presentations. Button.
That is definitely something that I would want sighted assistance with, but feel free to mess around with it as much as you like. I'll cut back to the More menu now. Okay, so we are in the More menu, and we are at Animate, so I'm going to keep swiping right.
Rehearse slideshow.
Rehearse slideshow does not actually do anything beneficial for us as blind students. It gives sighted people the opportunity to draw and use a laser pointer on their screen. None of that is beneficial for us, so we don't need anything in there. We'll swipe right again.
Allow remote control. Button. Soundtrack. Button.
This allows you to add music from your Apple Music account. However, I have an Apple Music subscription, and this is not working for me. I am not sure why. It may just be my account, but heads up that this may not work for you. I'll swipe right again.
Set password.
And again.
Document setup. Guides. Button. Settings. Button.
Settings, there actually is not much of importance in here. I'll double tap it anyway though, just so you can see what's in here.
Auto correction. Button. More. Back button.
And I'll just swipe through it.
Settings. Heading. Auto correction. Button. Slide numbers. Switch button. Off. Comments. Switch button. On. Author name. Button. Presentation type. Button. Adding movies. Button. Editing. Button.
So yeah, none of this is super important, but feel free to explore it yourself.
More. Back button. More. Back.
So below settings we have
Apple Pencil. Button.
Apple Pencil. Not going to be super useful if you are blind or visually impaired.
Keynote help. What's new in Keynote? Send feedback. Send feedback.
And yes, that is everything in the menu, and honestly, everything you need to make a good keynote. Again, I'm going to stress that you should always have someone look over your presentation when you finish it, but honestly, I have made many keynotes this year, and all of them have turned out very well. This is definitely something that you are capable of doing. I swiped through the options and I gave you kind of a brief tour of the app, but the information in this video is all that you really need. VoiceOver is very good about describing the colors. If you know what kind of colors go together, you can always change the fonts or the backgrounds. I have done it before. Everything is very accessible and it works very smoothly. It's just that presentations in general are a very visual thing. They are literally visual aids. But that does not mean that a blind person cannot make them. Also, if there is anything specific in this video that I kind of swiped past or skimmed over that you would like to know more about, please let us know in the comments below. And now we will play our slideshow. So I'll dismiss this pop-up.
Presentations button.
And we will swipe over to play.
View options. Undo. But presentation 2. Play button. Play. Title. Text box. Description. Actions available.
So we're actually in the third slide right now. So we're going to hit the left arrow on our keyboard.
Slide 2. Technology.
And we'll do it again.
Slide 1. Challenge solutions. Title. Text box. Challenge solutions.
So if you have a Bluetooth keyboard, you can swipe through your slides by using the arrow keys. You can also double tap the screen to move forward in your slideshow. When presenting, I always have a Bluetooth braille display of some sort, so I turn the speech off and then I read the text with the Bluetooth braille display. I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to swipe through everything we have in the slideshow that we made. So we heard the title, Challenge Solutions. I will swipe right to go to the next item on this slide.
Body. Text box. Virtual learning for the blind. Actions available.
Then I'll hit my right arrow to move forward.
Slide 2. Technology. Body. Text box. Apple. Android. Windows. Braille note takers.
VoiceOver read everything on that slide, and again, that is bulleted. You may not hear it, but you will see it if you're using a braille display. I'll hit the right arrow again, or double tap this time.
Slide 3, Description, Body, Text Box. Challenge Solutions is a group of blind and visually impaired students in career training with the Arkansas Division of Services for the Blind. They make blog posts, podcasts, and YouTube videos.
And this slide did not have bullets. We would not hear it, but you would see it if you had a braille display. And if I hit the right arrow again,
Presentations button.
we are finished, and we go back to this editor view that we have had. So hopefully that was helpful. Now we will cut to the outro. So that about wraps up our iOS Keynote tutorial. I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, please give us a thumbs up so that the YouTube algorithm will continue to know that we exist. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, you can leave those in the comments of this video or in the contact form at challengesolutions.org. For more content like this, you can subscribe to the Challenge Solutions blog, podcast, and YouTube channel, and thank you for watching.